Dr. Phillips with Texas Chiro Health, back with our 12 Minutes to Health, bringing you guys the research on how to eat well, how to move well, and how to think well. Because those are the tenets of what it takes to maintain homeostasis and truly be healthy, right? So that's what we like to teach on, and we like to show you what the medical journals have to say about that, like what is eating well, right? There's tons of ideas out there on diets and supplements and fads and different things. And we want to give you the actual medical research on that, not just, I eat a paleo diet, that works for me and it works for this guy, so it's going to work for you. Well, why? Why would a paleo diet work? What's that look like on a physiological level? Well, how does that maintain my homeostasis? And how am I just going to be healthier, right? And paleo is just one example. I just throw it out there. But there's a lot of that stuff that you'll be told, like, this is the research. But is it really? Is it the randomized controlled trials that we're finding? Are we using it against a placebo? Is it double-blinded? Is it written in an actual medical peer-reviewed journal? So those are the things that we look for. And we look for it in exercise. We look at stress management and social interactions, and also what we're putting into our body and what we're eating. And that's what we're going to dive into. And this talk here is the omega-3 fatty acids, which I love to talk about. There's so much information, and it's impossible to cover in these 12 minutes, right? But good thing for you guys is every Tuesday night we do this in the clinic with different topics, all right? So you get to come in, you can have your questions answered by the doctor. We have refreshments and things of that nature to make it enjoyable for you. But get into the clinics every Tuesday, 6 p.m., and get your questions answered. You can grab all this research. You'll get to listen to the talks and things like that. But talking with the doctor makes such a big difference because we're all different. We all have different stuff going on, but yet we're all trying to reach homeostasis. So what's the best way for me to go about doing that? And that's why I dig into the research, and that's why the Tuesday nights can be so beneficial. So with that being said, let's dive into this meta-analysis study. It's an overall review looking at different randomized controlled trials, which we'll talk to you about. This one was done by Mazafarian, hopefully I didn't mess that up, but Mazafarian et al., and it's called Plasma Phospholipid Long-Chain Omega-3 Fatty Acids and Total and Cause-Specific Mortality in Older Adults, their cardiovascular health, right? So basically, they want to dig into the older population. Let's look at the study design, right? This study it's dealing with participants who are age 75. Well, actually, they're 70 to 80. They were within 5 years of age 75. There was 2,692 participants after they narrowed it down based off their search. And it took place from 1992 to 2008. So during that time, they followed these people. And there were, I think there was 3,000 and some odd people that came for the study. But they wanted them to be healthy older adults. So they hadn't had a history of cardiovascular disease, heart disease, stroke, or anything like that had to deal with the cardiovascular system. So they could have then studied the effects of having elevated levels of EPA, DHA, and DPA, which are the three main chain fatty acids that make up your omega-3 fatty acids. So they looked at them individually, and they looked at them overall as well to see what kind of effect they were having. So they followed these people around, and this is an age group where you're going to expect some deaths. You know what I mean? We're getting towards the end of life when we start talking 75. I think the average male lifespan is 73 or 74 now. So, I mean, during this study, they expected that to happen, and that's what they wanted to study. Were these cardiovascular deaths? What were their, omega-3 fatty acid levels, and how did that play into this, to their death and or even if it was non-fatal, if they just had like a heart attack that didn't kill them or anything, how did the omega-3s play into that, and what kind of benefits do we see from the omega-3s? So, and not shockingly to me, after studying all this stuff, the benefits are huge. And omega-3 is an essential nutrient. We all have to take it. And the levels that they use in this study are so extremely low and had such a huge benefit that if we're actually taking the appropriate levels, which we'll talk about here, it's mind-blowing how much healthier we can be. Because we're all headed to this 75, 80, hopefully 85, 90, living late into life, but actually living and having a quality of life because, death's inevitable. That and taxes, I think they say, right? They're inevitable. We're going to have to face it eventually. But how long, and can we live a better quality of life? And I think the research is pretty clear that, yeah, we can live a better quality of life. We can live a longer life. We can live a less degenerated life if we can remain near homeostasis. So that's what this study really digs into. First of all, they noticed an overall lower mortality rate, right? And they, like I said, they studied these separately and together. So they noticed that people that had higher EPA levels had a 17% lower risk of having some type of cardiovascular incident that either was fatal or non-fatal. So 17% lower just from EPA, 23% lower when it's DPA, same thing. And then when you look at DHA, it's a 20% lower risk. So just by having these fats in our body and in our blood, right, our phospholipid blood levels, we find that your risk of a cardiovascular event comes down. And it comes down quite a bit if you look at that. And then when they combined all of them, it's over a 27% lower risk. That's a big deal. If you were, 1/4 less likely to have a heart attack just by taking some fish oils, that's pretty good. It's easy, it's cost effective, and the fish oil affects more than just our cardiovascular system, right? I always talk about these things kind of on one topic, right? This one being cardiovascular disease, but that's not really how our body works. Like the fish oil, those fats are used in every single cell. They make up our cell walls, our immune system. They keep it fluid so that we can attack things and it's not so rigid. We don't get beat up. I mean, the omega-3 is just, the levels have to be up for you to be at homeostasis. Cardiovascular disease aside, brain function and brain development aside, the omega-3s are important in everything that happens. This study is just looking at the cardiovascular disease. So those are the numbers there. There was a lower percentage of coronary heart disease deaths. So when they looked at people that had elevated levels, and we're going to talk about what they used as elevated levels, which is mind-blowing, but if they had elevated levels in this study, they found a 50% decrease in deaths from coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease is one of the top 5 killers in the country. And it's because people don't take omega-3s, or worse yet, they're taking a bad omega-3, which we'll talk about at the end as well. So there's just a bunch of different stuff that's going on there. But the decrease by 50% in coronary heart disease, it's just incredible. So important to be taking our fish oils. They also found that those with these elevated levels were adding years to their life. In fact, it was about 2.22 years longer that they lived than those that didn't have elevated levels of omega-3s in their blood. So there's statistic after statistic. They looked at other benefits through the randomized controlled trials. What benefits are there for omega-3s? Maybe we're not just looking at just coronary heart disease, but what other benefits are there? They noticed a reduced heart rate when you have elevated levels, lower blood pressure, improved myocardial efficiency and function. So basically that just means the heart was working better. And they noticed it especially during the diastolic phase, kind of that rest phase of your blood pressure, that you had a better functioning heart at that point. Lower triglyceride production in the liver. So you're not producing as much of the cholesterol and triglycerides and things like that, just keeping your blood healthier and keeping yourself healthier. Improved autonomic function and endothelial function. So what that means is the brain, the nervous system was working better, and so was the lining. The endothelial cells are those that make up the lining of your GI wall, of your skin, all that stuff, your arteries. So you had better function from those cells because they use the omega-3s. Antithrombotic effects, there was less thrombosis going on, right? So throwing a clot, that type of stuff, wasn't happening at near the level because there's elevated omega-3s in the body. Antiarrhythmic effects. So we had regular heartbeats. It got rid of the irregular heartbeats. You didn't see it happening as often when omega-3s were up. And then it says it's crucial. Omega-3s are crucial in restoring homeostasis following tissue injury and inflammation. So if you're going to heal, which gets harder as we age, you've got to have the omega-3 fats. It lowers the inflammation, and it doesn't lower the inflammation really, right? The inflammation is good. We just don't want chronic inflammation. So it reduces chronic inflammation, and it regulates the inflammation that's going on so that we don't have too much inflammation following an injury, which could be detrimental to us. So these are just some of the benefits that you see from the omega-3s. And it's the consistency of the blood is a big thing too. Just like the blood flowing through your arteries, not getting thick. It talks about the antithrombotic effects and everything else. but it's huge for keeping the blood consistency correct. I know my mom had a boat accident not too long ago, and she's been on Omega-3's for a while now, a couple of years since I've been helping her out with her health and things like that. But she was in a boat accident, and she actually tore her carotid artery, which 99.9% of the time results in a stroke. And her neurologist said that her blood was the perfect consistency, and that's the reason she didn't stroke out. It was regulated, it was the perfect consistency, and it was able to save her life, essentially. And he said that's more than likely due to the Omega-3's that she's on, because she's on a good one. And he goes, not all of them are good, and I had a great conversation with him about it. But you know what? It's just another benefit of having Omega-3's in your blood at the right levels. And one of the things is that they talked about too, and I'll get to the special offer here in just a second, but one of the things that they talked about with the blood consistency and with the Omega-3's, the measurements that they were making, they were considering about 450 of these units in the blood. If they could find 450 milligrams, then that was elevated compared to everybody. But if you dig through the research and everything, the biggest benefit comes at about 2,000 milligrams a day. And we were just getting 450 milligrams a day in this study. So it is vitally important that we take what is correct for our species, right? And correct for our species is 2,000 milligrams a day. And we just don't eat enough fish anymore. The fish that we do isn't wild caught, and it's hard to get it not frozen, and that destroys some of the stuff. So it's just eating the correct stuff has become harder and harder. And there's plant sources that we just can't get enough Omega-3's from. They're incomplete. So you need to be on a good, not concentrated Omega-3 fish oil. This is why the Tuesday nights are just coming into the clinic are so important, because we take people with their fish oils that they're taking as they come in, and we walk them through why it's good or why it's bad and what makes the difference and how we get them on a good one right away. A good quality, natural, organic Omega-3 supplement. So very big deal that you're taking the right one. The wrong one can actually be harmful to your body and lower some of these numbers in other studies. So it's just a really big thing. And that's why it's important that you get into the office, because like I said, 12 minutes is never enough here, right? So Tuesday nights are a great opportunity at 6 to get in there. But also, you know, we understand, we do these talks and we meet people who are suffering with pain or discomfort or inflammation, or just their health isn't where they want it to be. And that's why we have this special offer. We want to get the word out there, and we want to help as many people as we can in our communities. So we bring you in for a day one. We do x-rays, we do an exam, we do a consultation to figure out exactly what it is that you're dealing with. And then we use a proprietary health software, right, that allows us to assess your health overall. How are you eating, moving, and thinking? And it gives you a personalized health score from 1 to 100. So we know what's going on and what to do about it. And we go over all this stuff with you. Now, the typical costs in our office for those services is about $289, but we've brought that down to just a $39 donation from you to our local monthly charity. And we've done this for a couple of reasons. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to come into the clinic and get the answers that you need and that you deserve based off the research. So we want to remove all the excuses and any barriers that have ever stopped you from coming into the clinic before. So the numbers are right here on the screen. Give us a call, get an appointment set up. That $39 donation, just mention this talk. We'll get you in and we'll get everything taken care of for you. And most importantly, get you the answers that you need and the answers that you deserve for you and your family and for health moving forward. So give us a call, and we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to helping you out. So thanks, guys, for joining us, and I'll see you next time on the 12 Minutes to Health.